This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast with Mike Kinnett and Ryan Herbert of ProStatus Financial, now celebrating 20 years helping families build successful retirements and lasting family legacies. Mike is a financial planner and estate planning attorney with a master's degree in tax and 4-time Amazon best-selling author. Ryan is a 5-star Wealth Management Award winner and top-ranked financial advisor by Forbes. Now, the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast.
Is there a way to put the concept of a pension into your retirement plans? We're also going to talk today about how long will it take your 401k to recover from a big market downturn. Your market and your 401ks are probably up now. That's great. But what happens if you take a big hit right before retirement? Mike Kinnett is not here this weekend, but Lawrence Kiely is. He is a financial planner from ProStatus here with us as well, along with Ryan Herbert. So what if we were to ask you, how long does it take your money to recover from a 20 to a 10% market decline? Well, for the most part, people may say a couple years, a couple months, so on and so forth. But the average is basically about 4 months. But they don't tell you is that the recovery time from the Great Recession back in 2008 was about 4 years. And after that, the dot-com bust in 2000, it took about 15 years. So clawing out of that is significant, especially when you're going into retirement. So guys, I want to focus on this because now things, our 401k seem to be up. And when they're up, correct me if I'm wrong here, we don't want to think about a downturn. We just want to keep growing and growing and growing. But the closer we get to retirement, we should really start to rethink that. Correct, Ryan? A little safety in there?
Yeah, you should always have safety because the unfortunate thing is nobody really remembers the bad parts of the market. You think about it, but you don't really remember how you felt about it. You just think more about the current where the stock market's going up. And this thing saying that the average time to rebound from a major stock market decline of 10 to 20% is 4 months. That's the more recent history where we had 2020 where the stock market dropped really drastically over a month and a half period. And then 4 months later, we were zooming up. That was the COVID crash. And then we had the flash crash in 2015, I think, where the stock market dropped 15% in a day and then rebounded, very quickly thereafter. But the stock market doesn't always do that. It takes time to come back to get to even. Like you said, from 2008, it took about 4 years to come back. From the dot-com crash, it took 15 years. People always think that the stock market does 8 to 10% over time, and that's what it does every single year. And that's honestly, that's not true. It's just one of those fallacies out there, like, you don't pay tax on your Social Security or you don't pay tax in retirement when you reach a certain magical age. I've yet to see that. But if you look at the S&P 500 from January 1 of 2000 to December 31st of 2013, and you look at just where the stock market went. If I just had my money in the S&P 500, in the S&P 500 ETF, how much money would I make? The answer is zero. The stock market went nowhere for that 13, 14-year period. That's not how you want to approach retirement. That's not how you want your money to grow or be invested as you approach retirement. And certainly when you are retired, you don't want to take a 20, 30, 40% hit and then have to worry for the next 10 or 15 years about whether or not I'm going to have enough money, whether it's going to come back.
In some cases, that worry can be just as bad as your money not coming back. It's the unknown, right? You see that a lot when people come to see you.
That's always why when we're sitting down with clients, the number one fear that anybody has is, aside from, do I have enough money to retire? That's the one question. Can I retire when I want to retire? The next question is, okay, if I can retire when I want, now that I've saved enough money, is it enough to last me my entire lifetime? Am I going to run out of money? Am I going to have to go back to work when I'm 90 years old and hand out smiley faces at Walmart? And then I have to break it to them that Walmart doesn't do that anymore. They don't hand out smiley faces. That's not a job that they have anymore. But that's why.
Usually it's a frown these days.
Hi, welcome to Walmart. Please don't rob us. That's kind of what it is. That's why when Lawrence and I are sitting down with clients, we're showing them, here's what you said you wanted to have. You said you wanted to retire you're going to retire at 62 and your wife's going to retire at 67 because you want those 2 years to be home alone without getting bothered. That's kind of a common thing that Lawrence and I do see. But, you want to make sure that this is what I want. And I want to retire at 65. My wife's going to retire at 67. And I want to have, the $7,000 a month of after-tax spendable income. I want $7,000 a month put in my bank account for me and my wife to spend. And I want that number to remain consistent over my lifetime. Obviously, you're adjusting it for inflation. Mm-hmm. That's where Lawrence and I then take over and say, yes, you've saved enough money. You've done a great job saving for retirement. You've done a great job growing your money. Now is the time to put a plan in place to stop the risk in the portfolio, to stop the worry, to get rid of all those what ifs, and make sure that you're going to have the retirement that you've always dreamed of. And if you want to find out what this really can look like for you, I encourage you to give us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, and sit down with Mike, myself, and Lawrence and our team here at ProStatus, and we'll put together your very own portfolio protection and income plan, where we're going to talk about the risk you're taking. We're going to talk about the fees that you're paying. But most importantly, we're going to show you, here's how you create those income streams that you cannot outlive during retirement. But it all starts by giving us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, or visit us on the web at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
So once upon a time, pensions were the answers to retirement. Today, though, we're left with our 401k. And a recent survey by Greenwald Research shows that 90% of Americans are worried their 401ks won't provide a reliable income stream, and more than 80% now want a guaranteed lifetime income, just like a pension offered. Now, I know you guys talk a lot about pensions are kind of a thing of the past. So what's the answer here, Ryan and Lawrence? How do we create that pension style option with our retirement plans?
Well, I think that the Secure Act 2.0 really kind of, the government is telling you what you should do. They've been offering to all the governmental employees inside of the TSP, on the right side of that statement that you get in the mail or you look at online, there's always a number that says, based on your age at 65 and how much you have in this thing, it'll produce $1,702 a month. That is, the federal government was showing their employees, if you take your money and you buy an annuity with it, here's how much money it can generate. And they've been doing that for the TSP for years and years and years. And now the passage of the Secure Act 2.0, what it said is that 401k companies the employers have to start showing and offering an annuity option to their employees. And I know most people hear the word annuity and they turn off their brains or they shake their head or, I don't want an annuity. And a lot of it is because of the media, and a lot of it is because of, the old style of annuities, the variable annuities that are still certainly out there. And the drawbacks that most people think of when they think of annuities is, it's high fees and my money's tied up for a long period of time. And that certainly is true of variable annuities. And there certainly can be some index annuities that are out there that do that. But the newer versions of these things, they don't have as many restrictions as they used to. The fees are not nearly as high as they used to be. Most of them on average are right around 1%. So, now the federal government is really trying to push people off of their reliance on Social Security and, get your own income stream, because that is essentially all a pension is. You're paying into it out of your wages or out of your union dues or whatever it happens to be. You're paying into it for all these years so that at some point in the future, it pays you an income stream. The biggest difference with an annuity is you're simply taking a lump sum of money and putting it in and letting it sit there for X amount of years until it starts paying you or getting an income stream right away. That is really the one of the really cool ways of generating that guaranteed income in retirement.
Right. You bring something up there, and although they do get a bad name, more than 80% now want that very same thing that bad reputation with the word annuity gives you, which reminded me of this. I heard this analogy, and when I heard it, it really made sense. So imagine you're going to have a tooth out, a wisdom tooth taken out, and you walk into the dentist chair, you're about to sit down, and you see all the tools that the dentist has to work on you. He may not need all of them, but all of a sudden he says, you know what, take half of those tools and get them out of here. Okay, well, I may need what you're taking out, but because you're thinking about, hey, I don't need this particular tool, or I've heard that this particular tool is bad, you may be missing out on something that could be very beneficial to you. Would that be a great way or a good way, a fair way to describe what an annuity can or can't do? And Ryan and Lawrence are not advocating an annuity is going to fix everything.
Yeah, annuities they're not for everybody. It is an option. It is a tool. It's something out there that may or may not be, appropriate for you. Use that analogy there. I like to say to clients, if you go play golf, you can go play golf with, a driver, a 3-wood, a 2-wood, a 1-wood.
I like this one better.
Irons, 9 through 3 on irons, and then you can have 7 different types of wedges and putters. Or, you can go play golf with a driver, a 9-iron, a pitching wedge, and a putter. It's really that. When you sit down with a financial advisor, do you want him to show you just these 3 things because that's what I know, that's what I'm comfortable with? Or are you going to an advisor to find out what is out there that I don't know? What is out there that I can't do myself, that I need someone to show me all the options that are available to me, show me all the golf clubs they have in their bag, and then show me the pros and cons of which one to use. To this day, I can't tell you the difference between how I hit a certain degree wedge versus another, but I have them both in my bag just in case I feel like I want to use it. But that's really the thing. For Lawrence and myself and Mike and our team here at ProStatus, we are fiduciaries. It is our job to show you everything that's available to you to accomplish your goals. If you don't like annuities, that's perfectly fine. But I have a duty to show you, here's what you can do with this. Here are the pros and cons with it. And if you still don't like it, fine. It's off the table. But if you want to sit down and find out what is out there that my advisor isn't showing me, what is out there that I'm not getting out of my 401k, I encourage you to give us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, and sit down with Mike, Lawrence, and myself, and we will put together your very own retirement income analyzer that shows you here's how much income you can have in retirement, and here are the 4 or 5 different ways you can generate that income in retirement, and let you decide what's best for you to help you sleep at night. 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040.
And like Ryan was saying, getting that retirement income analyzer, it's really, it is really our fiduciary duty that we're looking at the different ways to generate income for you. And explaining the cost and benefits of, which way might make the most sense for you so you can make the best decision for yourself. And I mean, we were talking to a client or, a radio caller the other day that came into our Towson office again, and he actually referred to his wife, who is a CPA, as a tax collector, which is funny because we talked about that earlier in the conversation. But we were talking about she was getting, she had an option to get a lump sum pension or a monthly pension. And we were kind of talking about the pros and cons between, what makes the most sense for them. And they needed around $90,000 of income a year in retirement after taxes. And they had Social Security coming in. And then that pension was covering a part of their shortfall. And we looked at the analysis and the income analyzer and said, you can take this lump sum pension. And what we do is we compared it to what would happen if we put that and basically bought our own pension. What type of income would you get? And because we always want, for the most part, doing the joint income. That way, if something happens to one of you, the other person in the marriage gets that income still for the rest of their life as well. But we looked at some of the analysis and we were able to generate a little bit more income, not anything super significant as far as more income, but the real benefit came with the tax planning and also the fact that when you have a pension through your employer, if you take that pension and both of you pass the next day, you both get hit by a truck, that income is gone. Nobody gets it. Nothing's left for the children. With buying a private pension, essentially via annuity, what happens is if you died that next day, there is a little bit of death benefit that is left for the kids. That disappears after a certain point. You still get that income. But if something happened tomorrow, there is some death benefit left over. But the real special thing that we were able to talk about in this meeting was the fact that, buying your own pension and taking that lump sum in this situation, what made sense for you was the fact that we were able to convert that What happened with converting it now and doing that tax planning for these people was that we were able to make that income tax-free. So now it didn't tax Social Security. So now they were getting that $90,000 a year that they wanted, but they were getting it 100% tax-free, versus if they had taken that pension the regular way, they would have been taxed on Social Security at 85% and would have a huge tax bill going into retirement. So that's just some of the savings that we do and some of the things we talk about when it comes to that retirement income analyzer. So if you'd be interested in getting that, please give us a call, 866-597-1040. 866-597-1040.
And online at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Again, that's thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Whether you call today or you go on to thesavvyinvestorradio.com, make sure that you do take a step into that direction and see how much income you can start to generate from your life savings with that retirement income analyzer. They're also going to run the 401k X-ray and Roth conversion and tax planning analysis. It is a true complete retirement plan with ProStatus. And of course, here at the Savvy Investor Radio Show and Podcast. Guys, thank you again as always. But Ryan and Lawrence, you guys get the final word.
This is Lawrence Kiely. Thank you for listening to the Savvy Investor Radio and Podcast.
And this is Ryan Herbert. We'll see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.